Greetings to our parents, school personnel, and community friends. My name is Tom Sisk, Superintendent of Limestone County Schools, and this is a production of Take 5. In response to the tragedy at Sandy Hook Elementary School, we have been overwhelmed by the continuous heartfelt support of families and community leaders who have expressed their sorrows and concerns about the tragic events at that elementary school in Connecticut. We want to thank everyone who has contacted us, and I'd like to apologize for not being able to call each and every one of you back. Our children are the most prized possession that we have, and we are obligated and committed to providing a safe, clean, warm environment for our children to learn. We made contact with law enforcement agencies shortly after the event unfolded to make sure that steps were taken that our children would remain safe throughout this process. We want to thank the law enforcement agencies who have worked with us in partnership. We have worked to commit to screening and reducing casual access to our schools. We have looked at additional security protocols. We have put in place a task force which will do a school-by-school assessment, which will then provide a list to the Board of Education of some additional security upgrades for each of our campuses. What we learned at Connecticut, Virginia Tech, and at Columbine is that school personnel are not trained or equipped to repel a terrorist whose intent it is to harm children. Our efforts, although effective in addressing an angry parent, or perhaps reducing access to our schools with those people who shouldn't be associated with children, are effective. Nothing we currently have in place allows us to address a highly armed and determined person who would want to come into our schools and harm our children. We have to recognize that governments were formed to provide for the people which they could not provide for themselves, and that is public safety. In that venue, police stations were created, fire stations were created. These things were created to provide necessary services. And so we will call upon county government to honor those pledges at the local and state level, to give us those additional resources to provide the protection that our children, who are required by law to attend our schools, will have an opportunity to enjoy a safe learning environment. The only way for us to remain confident that our schools are a safe place for our children to learn is to take those steps to have a well-trained, well-equipped police officer there. A school resource officer is much better equipped to neutralize an attacker, much more so than an unarmed teacher, custodian, or principal might do. We have an outstanding sheriff's department here in Limestone County. We want to thank Sheriff Mike Blakely and his deputies, those school resource officers, who day in and day out take steps to ensure that our children are safe. But the bottom line is we have 6 school resource officers for 13 schools. In order to correct this problem, we need 8 additional school resource officers. At an estimated cost of about $600,000, basic math shows us that with 9,100 children attending school during a regular calendar day, an investment of just 36 cents a day per child would allow us to make that investment and provide those security resources necessary to ensure that a school resource officer is at every school. I think it's such a modest commitment of resources that I can't imagine any other infrastructure or other commitment superseding the safety of our children. Recently, State Senator Bill Hoaxcloth and other legislators have committed resources to help us as we prepare to engage in a number of security upgrades. One of those investments involves a check for $45,000 of discretionary money, which we will receive this Friday, and which we will put in the hands of our task force to begin those security upgrades. I want to keep people in mind of the fact that security and safety of our children is paramount. I, as a superintendent, will not do anything consciously or unconsciously to jeopardize that safety. In Limestone County, we are focused on quality and we are committed to excellence. But in order to ensure that that commitment is honored. We need the resources to ensure that our schools are a safe haven where that commitment can be fulfilled. Again, my name is Tom Sisk, and this is a production of the Limestone County Board of Education, Office of Public Relations. Thank you for viewing.